Welcome, everybody, to Campaigns and Concoctions, where we are a bunch of truant trekkers who like to drink and play TTRPGs.
Yes, we are.
Factual.
That's not here.
Yeah, that was a pretty fun one. Thank you so much for joining us on this story of cooperative storytelling, or this. Oh my God, that was bad. This adventure of cooperative storytelling. Thank you so much, as always. If you want to join in the discussion, as always, I'm pointing down. You can click on the links in the show notes. There, you can get to our Instagram. Through there, you can get to our Discord server, etc., etc., etc. As Jared just mentioned, we are minus a human in that Matt, in his multiple travels this last couple of weeks, has picked up a bug. So send him healing energies, everyone out there in internet land. I didn't ask this week, but does anyone have anything that they want to pitch other than to go see John at Hey Kiddo?
One thing, friends of the pod, Balmer Peak.
Yes.
A little bird told me something about maybe purchasing a new location.
Oh,
or
shit.
getting a new location.
Fuck yeah.
I cannot confirm. So let's get in the Discord and talk to Austin.
Yeah,
I heard
absolutely.
that from a liquor rep the other day, and I was like, dude, that would be cool. So go support Balmer Peak. And go buy some of their booze. Buy a bottle, buy a cocktail.
Buy a bottle of their strange grain whiskey that they just released that Curtis and I got to try before it was ever bottled. We got to try it from a bottle that did not have a label on it and simply had a piece of masking tape with Sharpie that said strange grain with a date.
That's right.
And it was delicious then, so I can only imagine that the refined and finished product is even better. And they just started selling that, like, either earlier, it must have been last week that they started selling it.
So when you hear this, it'll be 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, about 2 weeks ago.
So just go.
And then also I submitted for Patron's Tales Perfectionist to make the perfect Patron margarita. So hopefully I'll be able to tell you at some point in the not too distant future that my name and my cocktail are on a website somewhere.
Your cock and tail are on some websites.
That's right. It's true.
All right, then. Anyone else?
As we record this, it is the start of Inktober. I'm trying to do it this year and do all wet erase style sketches. My first one is up on a couple of places, including my Instagram, which I will probably tag Campaigns and Concoctions in one at some point.
Follow the Instagram. Also, listen for me. I will most likely be a guest on a podcast and some local radio stations here in the Valley. Go ahead if you want to. I will post those when they pop up and when they happen. So, with that being said, let's do some drinks.
Yes. Go ahead, Jared.
I don't think I ever named it. Anyway, I will name this and put it in chat later. This is the first flip I ever made. It came out pretty freaking good.
Yes, it did.
3/4 ounce bourbon. I used 3/4 ounces rum. At home I used Jamaican. Here it was the Plantation 150 overproof.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I love that stuff.
Plantation
And then
Overproof
a
is
half
great.
ounce of Averna, half ounce Demerara syrup, 1 dash old fashioned bitters, 1 dash walnut bitters. I screwed that up and used chocolate instead of old fashioned here, but doesn't really matter. And 1 whole egg. And then you can put cinnamon or nutmeg on top with a fine grating as a garnish.
Nice. I made the drink that I submitted for the competition. It's supposed to be made with Patron. I did not have Patron on hand to make it with. But it's 1.75 ounces Patron. It is half an ounce of Coca Americano. I also did not have creme de banane, so this is really not quite the drink, but it's close. Should be half an ounce of creme de banane. I like the Tempest Fugit best. Tempest Fugit makes some amazing liqueurs. And then I made an umeboshi agave syrup. Umeboshi being basically salt-packed, preserved, unripe green plums. It's a Japanese preservation practice, so I used the juice from that to make a syrup. And then I used the pulp to make an agar-agar gelatin mixture out of the plums themselves. So it's garnished with basically tahine, lime twist, and the umeboshi ball. Yeah, it's pretty fucking tasty. It's pretty good.
It is very good.
And since we have and yuzu juice, three quarters of an ounce of yuzu juice in that cocktail. And since we have some umeboshi agave and we've got some yuzu juice, and I've already made one of these, we should fuck around and find out at the next break.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds awesome. I also made a cocktail, which is exceedingly rare, especially when it comes to the fact, that I tried something new. I made a gimlet-esque riff with 2.5 ounces of Family Jones House Gin, approximately half an ounce of lemon juice, and half an ounce of homemade blueberry syrup, shaken, and then strained. I don't have a double strainer, which I think would have been good, but I strained into it should be a coupe, but I don't have any, and then expressed lemon peel over the top, rubbed it around the rim, and then I made a delightful garnish with blueberries and that lemon peel.
Looks beautiful.
It looked really nice.
I'm very proud of it, so that a picture of that will go up. Hopefully I sent it to the group chat. So I believe that's everything. Any alibis? Do we got anything we want to cover before we start getting to recap and all that good stuff? And we'll take that silence as a no. Last time that we as a party met, the chaos ensued in this underground cavern of technology underneath the palace of the Lord Richter. The clocks or the gears were turning in the background, and panels arose. Eventually, people started to figure out the pattern of the panels, how to set things in motion. But during that process, Sark willingly placed himself underneath the lightning bolts that kept striking down, and then had a very emotional journey to some time in the past. His past? Maybe? But after reviving and L throwing a large ball bearing at the machine, eventually the puzzle was solved and a door was open. And there we found some remains of similar creatures to Sark, which are fairly uncommon. A few discussions were had, a few investigations were made, and then as the party was exiting, Patrice cast legend lore on the tomb of Shirlene, which led him on also a very emotional ride to the history of Shirlene here, and as well tied in with the sometimes employer of the crew, Prospering. And at that, after a brief conversation, the party, the majority of them, are exiting the tombs/catacombs, while Prospering and Patrice bring up a little bit of the rear. As the six of you are rising, Lord Richter kind of is speaking over his shoulder in his booming voice, saying, I'm going to guide you to our family dining area. I have a quick few matters to attend to, but then I will join you as we can discuss. You all had some questions that needed to be answered. I believe I have some of those answers, but I do have the matters of the plateau and Bergheim to deal with, unfortunately, and as much as I would like to help you right away, some of my attention needs to be drawn elsewhere. I will leave my eldest here with you, and you can ask her some questions as you see fit. But and at this point, you guys are exiting into the main floor, and he takes you to a heavily guarded door that it seems that as you walk through this space, there's a ton of just the locals walking through or about on their business and anything, but this one door is heavily guarded by I guess the equivalent would be Strider before he becomes Aragorn in the Lord of the Rings, right? That kind of greenish, brownish apparel, that ranger-esque look that's guarding the door. And as they don't stop the Lord Richter and you guys all follow through, and it seems that now you have been brought into the personal domicile of Lord Richter, Richter's daughters, and Richter's sons. And he continues on and says, I hope that my attention will be drawn very quickly back to you, because I believe that these discoveries that we have made are of great import. And at this point, he opens the door and he leads you into a very small, or not small, but very plain dining room, which, you know, for the amount of money that, you know, someone like the Lord Richter probably has, is a little surprising. But it's plainly decorated with just some beautiful paintings of what appear to be other areas of the plateau itself. He sits down and he says, I will have lunch brought to you. If there's anything specific or things we need to avoid, let my staff know and we'll take care of you. But I will be back promptly. And he exits. Prosperin goes to the back of the room where it seems like there is a constant thing of like urn of coffee and tea that is sit there, and she makes herself a cup of tea, and she sits down at the far end of the table and is stirring a couple of cubes of sugar into her tea, and just kind of sits there quietly as she is kind of gently guided the slightly aghast Patrice with her, and made him a cup of tea as well, and sat him down next to her. Can I get everyone but Patrice to make a quick perception check for me, please?
Don't bring the borrow a D20. Go grab my dice. I knew I forgot something.
Right. Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, Sark, if you want, you can roll it at a disadvantage, because that would make sense to me. Unless you rolled poorly enough.
Don't need to.
Almost as poor as you can get.
17.
Okay.
Ditto, 17. Same.
L?
7. No,
Okay.
6.
Okay. And Sark?
That's really funny. I rolled an 11, which is the lowest I can roll without.
So Sark Sark's not noticing anything, and L is concerned with Sark. So they're kind of in a little bubble. But Skald and Sid, you notice that in the dust-covered face of Patrice, that you see these like muddied tear streaks down his cheeks from what appears to be a pretty solid cry that he has had.
Patrice, why were you crying?
You know the boat that we sail across the sky and the sea?
Yeah.
I learned why it's called the Shirley.
Isn't it after Prosperin's friend,
Yeah.
comrade, lover,
Partner.
partner?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's a sad story. It's a gut-wrenching story. So just it's a feeling of loss that I have never felt before. And it's gonna take me a bit to be myself, I think.
It is one that took me 20 years to overcome.
Thank you for the tea. I appreciate it.
Drink it. You'll feel better.
I already do.
I'm going to ask for the equivalent of my forging kit and cartographer tools and paper.
Okay. That is
But-
easily provided for you.
Sit down and try and sketch the cities that I saw.
Okay.
Architectural drawing style, mechanical. I'm not looking for art. I'm just trying to get a semblance of shape and stuff.
So let me ask you this first. So you have really high wisdom.
Yes.
What is your wisdom? Just your wisdom modifier.
+5.
Okay. So I'm gonna let you roll performance at advantage
Okay.
because it is a performance check, but your memory is really good.
That works. 12.
Okay. It was a pretty low DC anyways because, sometimes you just got to let you guys roll.
That's fine. I got a -2 on all charisma stuff. So
Ooh.
-2, as low as you can get without being a monster.
So yeah, you struggle with the.
I'm not in a rush either. So if it just takes me the rest of the night while they're doing stuff, that's what I'm doing.
So it's you struggle with the not the details, but the details. As an artist, Nate, you understand, I'm sure, but it is going to take you quite some time. But you fairly quickly are able to replicate, or not quickly, but fairly accurately, are able to replicate what you saw. It looks like. I'm not sure if you've seen, it was one of the very original art of Star Wars by Ralph McQuarrie. And it was like not quite the finished products, but like the ones that he did right before, but it's in that kind of vein where it's not like super, professional art, but it's very accurate and you can discern details from it. So what is everyone else doing?
Elle is probably still making notes.
So there was, just as a reminder for those of you who the players may not remember, but your characters there was a question about quick travel to the Nicodeic Expanse, which is where what was it that was there that you guys wanted to see?
Eladrin.
That's right. An Eladrin family and Eladrin families and elf families in Bridgehold. And then what was the other question that it was something that that Skjald had asked? I just listened to it. I can't remember what it was towards the end.
I don't remember now.
It'll pop up something.
Son of a bitch.
So
If it was Skald, he was asking about the Cabal.
Yeah,
that's right. Yep. That was it.
Oh, yeah, okay.
that is correct. Yeah.
So Prosperin is there with you guys. So
In the middle of some of his notes, where Elle's mostly spaced out too, he's just gonna look up at some point and go, "Is this where the plateau was before it wasn't here?"
Ooh, good question.
I can't answer that question, Prosperin says. By the time I was born, the plateau had been in the pocket dimension that my father had created for approximately 1,200 years. So I'm sure there's maps that could answer that question, but I think that may be something that you want to ask my father.
Is there a map available that shows here and Haven? Among
No.
other-
Well, I mean, yes. This is me talking here. You could find one, and I think Elle, you would know about them, but the distance is great enough that I guess the closest thing would be like a continental-sized map. Like it would be like looking at Africa or Europe, possibly the US. So like the Syndicate itself, where you grew up, is only square mileage about the size of Louisiana. But with I believe it's 2 weeks journey. So I mean, at airship speeds, which is a little bit faster than sailing, you know, is think about how far you can travel. Like you can travel, I think, what is it, about, it'd probably be the equivalent of sailing of going from New York to London on a modern day boat. So like 2 weeks, like that kind of distance.
But there's no, like, not even necessarily particularly detailed, like, global map that's been put together yet.
Not really. So here, I need you to make a history check for me real quick, Al.
Not at advantage, I'm guessing.
Nope.
Weird. It's worth a shot.
Always ask. I'll just say no.
That's an 18.
Okay. So most of the full global maps that you have either heard of or seen have a lot of areas that say shit like there be monsters or there be dragons or some shit like that. Now, unlike the real world, that shit actually exists.
Right, yeah.
But also, there's some really interesting things out to the west that comes from like on the equator, where there's this like mist that, and no ship that has ever crossed it has come back that anyone knows about.
Is it triangular in shape?
No. No. I get where you're going, but no. And there's, even though like civilizations as you know it have been around for about 12 to 1500 years, the people are still recovering, because during the Age of Arcana, which was about that time ago, technology or magic didn't work. It was very broken. The only thing that was consistent was certain types of divinity inspired magic and some nature stuff. So if you needed to do anything arcane, you know, it just didn't work. It was never worked as planned, and it wasn't until the 5 schools of magic were founded, the 5 major schools, which you have met just recently. One of them, the Lord Richter, who founded the School of Necromancy. So, like, there's a lot that we're still rediscovering the world at this point. Thank you for giving me a chance to expound on some lore. It's a good question.
In that case, I was going to ask Prosperin, do you know if there's any other places that have precursor ruins, stuff like this, that you know of?
Yes. So, there's the ones here. There's the ones in Haven, obviously. There are some in a continent that I wouldn't recommend you going to, but it is a bit smaller than Wudan, but it is almost terminally just pounded by storms, and but it seems like these are fairly common. I can reach out to some of our... Actually, I wouldn't even need to, because I'd be using your organization's resources. So I think, from what I understand, most major locales have these spaces. I actively have agents searching for more.
Is there much of
go ahead.
hasn't been explored?
Say that again.
Is there much of the interior of the plateau that hasn't been explored yet?
Not really. We've had a long time to explore what we have, especially some of our dragonborn kin here. They have delved deep into the plateau. So here, the only ones that we have are the ones that you have explored. From what I've seen, it seems like this is kind of a sheared off space of something else. So
Out of character, was the path to those rooms, did that change at some point between the flooring of the tombs to the white stone that we?
So yeah. So when you open the door from the tombs and you kind of hit that small tunnel, that was kind of like, so the tomb has very nice, it's very much sentient made. The pathway into the room was kind of rough hewn, just cut stone. And then there was an abrupt change to this kind of white tiled floor.
Oh.
For frame of reference, I think the best idea is also, thank you, Nate, for putting me on this video game, is some of the labs in Control.
Okay.
I don't have that reference. So, was it almost seem like the rooms were discovered and then we're rediscovering the discovery? Does that make sense? Like someone rough hewn to the rooms, discovered them, and we're rediscovering.
Well, so if you remember, Richter told you guys about that they had found this space and that he had placed protections over it so no one could fuck with it. So he had known about it. It just for him wasn't a priority. There was so many other things that have gone on in the last millennia and a half. That, which is funny to say because you'd think that a guy like that would have different priorities, but he is who he is. And it wasn't until Prosperin returned with your guys' reports that he remembered it and began to take an interest in it.
Gotcha. Okay. Does the rough cut tunnel go past that area?
It's a straight line.
Oh.
It looks like it's a very fortuitous cut where they happen to be going that way and they found it, right?
Yeah.
So Lord Richter essentially was like, "That's really interesting," and then turned his head to the side and went, "Oh shit, we got one of those right here."
Right?
He just had "Oh yeah, no, yeah." He completely forgot about it thousands of years ago.
Yep. Well, as you guys learn more, this conversation will make sense. A lot of that will make sense once you guys get these conversations happen today.
Yeah. Off character, have we discussed what was next? Is that were we thinking about going straight to Eladrin, to the Grand Regency?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I thought we were doing something else.
I think we're investigating this, figuring out we've got to go back and pick up some stuff from Tinkermere.
Okay.
I think our sets of clothes, the rest of his armor.
We have something to do in Tinkermere too.
Okay, that's what I thought.
We also have our ship and crew in Tinkermere and need to get back to it.
Yeah. I could take a long leave. They're paid out through a year.
Long leave.
More if we're going anywhere, I want our ship and our crew.
Yeah.
They keep referring to it as our ship. It's a boat, right, Skel?
Definitely a boat.
It's a boat. Okay. I just want to know the proper terms.
Definitely a boat.
I don't want to sound like an idiot.
Yeah, absolutely. I would never let you do that.
Thank you.
As that conversation is being had between Scald and Patrice, you just kind of watch as Prosper just kind of leans back and puts her hand over her mouth a little bit, and you kind of just watch as her shoulders kind of just as she chuckles, listening to Scald and Patrice.
Do you have any plans to have anybody tunnel out around the rest of those rooms and see if there's anything else?
Not really. We can if you think that would be beneficial. It was just one of those things that we felt that, or Father felt that it would be best if it was just left alone. These things are so far out of the bounds of our scope. We don't have anyone like you, and she points to you, Elle. It's just not a skill set that we ever developed because we were so far separated from society. I mean, we're now bringing people in, but we just don't have that trust level with them because they're outsiders. So I would actually, and I'm sure my father would agree, we would defer to you in leading this investigation.
I don't think it's necessary, but I would be curious if this was if we're acting on the assumption that this was a chunk taken out of somewhere else, how much of a chunk that was, and what shape that chunk was.
Well, that's a pretty easy thing. I will make sure we'll get it started. We'll kind of feel out where we're going. We'll try and avoid from triggering anything like we did when you're not here. But yeah, I will get some of our teams going excavating the area around the room.
Paying enough attention. Was the facility under Haven similarly abrupt in its transitions, or did it feel more organic in how it fit in the space?
The entrance was more abrupt, but when you came to the very end where the people were being held, it felt like that was kind of a natural end. And then the labs, that hallway that had the different labs to the different with the different portals, that one, there's just no rooms, so it felt like it was a natural, like this was like a separate room.
Yes.
You know? So
Haven overall felt more organic.
Yep.
Okay. Sark doesn't have anything else to say. He is paying enough attention to the conversation to follow along, but since that's in his head, he's like, nope, that doesn't make sense either, so he's not putting pieces together. He's... whatever.
Cool.
Have I read about any of the ruins being like having appearing to be a chunk of something else, or having chunks taken out?
Good question. History check.
That's not 1 for 10. Oh fuck!
Drink, motherfuckers, drink!
Motherfucker, drink.
It's the same as me with perception. Just,
I'm gonna say no.
A shocking turn of events.
And it's mostly because your dive into the history of these things is fairly new.
It's valid.
So
the actual history is fairly new, but this has been one of his favorite conspiracy theories for a long time. So it's the you finished high school history, but you've also watched all of Ancient Aliens.
Right.
There.
Which I've done both. I
think we all have.
The 2022 series.
Oh yeah.
Ancient Aliens specials?
Yeah. I've also watched Ancient Apocalypse and Skinwalker.
So before we go down that rabbit hole, because we will, at this point, do you guys have any more questions either of Prosperin or the DM?
It's just the question about the plateau for Richter when he gets back.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Just those specific, that either me or Prosperin.
Yeah, because I'm trying to make sure I don't have a connection. The HoloLands were tied to the staff, which the HoloLands were close to where I was aware of.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And now he's more tied to the staff, is what I think I have in my notes.
The staff and necromancy that we found in the other set of ruins on
Rugen.
Thank you.
But those ruins were not same as these ruins, or were they?
They were similar.
Okay.
I think Skald is very visibly frustrated and a little bit annoyed at what's going on right now, and is staying very quiet and is sitting there with his arms folded, kind of slouched down in his chair, chewing on a burnt out stub of a cigar, just deep in thought, but not really contributing anything to this actual conversation. But it's very clear that he's sitting there really kind of annoyed and frustrated.
Sort of like a petulant child.
A little bit. More even, I'd say even more somebody who's worked at something and feels all of the efforts have come to no real outcome. He looks like he's been working on a math problem for the last 3 months and there's no solution to the math problem.
Fair. But with that, I think that's a really good kind of stopping point. So we're going to take a real quick break, and we will be back with the Lord Richter's return into the room. Welcome back, everyone, to Campaigns and Concoctions, where we are having a ridiculous time thinking of euphemisms for John's butt.
Yep.
So, with that being said, what do we got for cocktails, fellas?
I'm ready.
Okay, go for it.
I made a cocktail called A Fistful of Dollars. It is from a London bartender. I don't have his name in front of me. I'll look it up and get back to you here shortly. It calls for 2 ounces of overproof cachaça, which is a Brazilian pot-stilled cane juice spirit. It is grassy like a rum agricole. It has 3/4 of an ounce of Meadow Sweet simple syrup. Meadow Sweet is a white flower that grows in damp meadows. I bought it at this weird place in Morrison that's called Meadow Sweet Shop. I was like, well, I guess I can find it there, and you can. It's weird.
Absolutely shocking.
And it's got a 1/2 ounce of lime in it, and a whole kiwi muddled into the shaker tin, and you shake that with ice, pour it over a big rock, and drink the hell out of it. I have crushed it. I like it, but it's not enough flavor for what you're drinking, so you drink it fast. So when I made it, I added a 1/2 ounce extra of Don Ku overproof rum to kind of juice up the spirit. And we had a long discussion about this specific beverage on how to improve it. And the problem that we've deciphered is that kiwi has too much water. And maybe the best way to go about making this drink would be to cut up your kiwi and freeze it as a puree, and then use that as the ice content in your cocktail shaker. And then instead of shaking with ice and diluting it more, just pour over ice or blend with ice. Add some what's the stuff? The xanthan gum. To keep it all nice like a Slurpee. So a kiwi cachaça Slurpee would be the ultimate version of this drink, is what we decided.
Absolutely ideal.
With more booze.
With more booze. More booze. So I couldn't find an overproof cachaça. It's, from what I understand, it's actually really hard to make, because they only distill it once. so they don't get this like overproof nature to it. So like the highest ones that you can find online are like 90 proof, and I think it needs. We added 151 because it wasn't enough. So the next time I would make it, I would go half 151, half cachaça, and go for broke with that.
Cool. All right, I made a rum drink. It's 1 ounce white rum, 1 ounce Balmer Peak spiced rum, 3/4 ounce of it's full ounce of grapefruit juice, 3/4 ounce lime, half quarter ounce of your flower syrup. What's it called?
Meadow sweet.
Meadow sweet syrup, and half ounce or 1/4 ounce of demerara. I think that's it. Oh, and half ounce of liqueur 43. Put that in there too.
It's good. It's got a lot of flavors,
Yeah, it does.
but it's very drinkable. Like it would disappear instantly in front of me.
I can't call it apple cider flavor because it's not apple; it's on the forefront, but it's very much that
Balmer Peak Spice Rum is so good.
similar thing.
See that?
I was recommending it this week because it's
Apricot?
so good.
Johnny,
Spiced
doing your
apricots?
drinks?
Oh yeah, sorry. So I made a drink that I call Petey Palo. It's 1 3/4 ounces of Batavia Iraq, which is a Filipino, Malaysian, Indonesian, essentially rum agricole made from sugar cane or molasses. Is it sugar cane? I feel like it's sugar cane.
I think it's sugar cane, but also
and red rice.
that's
Red rice. It's like 3% red rice. It's a tiny little bit, but it's got red rice in the distillate.
so it's funky.
Yeah, it's super funky, very tasty stuff. And then this is also going to be, hold on, I have it written down because I made it 20 minutes ago and I forgot what I did. It is also going to have half ounce of, I did Dolan Rouge Vermouth, but if you can find Lustau's Vermouth Rosé, that stuff is amazing, and I do a half ounce of that instead. It's also got a half ounce of Pedro Jimenez sherry, a 1/4 ounce of Palo Cortado sherry, 2 dashes Peychaud's, and 3 drops of 20% saline solution, stirred and served up with a cherry garnish. It is super tasty.
Awesome. I spent the whole time trying to find out where I can find Balmer Peak over on this side of the mountain.
Good luck.
I know. It sucks. It's not like, luckily, I have my own distilleries over here. Hello, Peach Street Distilling. Thank you for existing, because they are awesome. But, sometimes you still want to taste the deliciousness that is the Front Range. So, awesome. Well, as we roll into this, the 6 of you are sitting at the table, kind of just having this loose conversation about the plateau, about these ruins and everything, and the Lord Richter rolls in with as carts of food are also being rolled in. It's fairly simple fare. Couple of soups, some salads, just some Hobbit early before serious, like 11sies is what you're looking at here. That kind of stuff, sandwiches and those kinds of things.
Business. Very.
The Lord Richter sits down at the head of the table. Where are you sitting, Skeld?
I'm probably like no more than 2 seats away from him on his left-hand side.
Okay. I need you to make a perception check for me real quick.
Nat 20 for a 25.
Hey!
Drink, motherfucker, drink, motherfucker, drink.
I'm the only one that doesn't clink this time. That's fine.
You watch as the Lord Richter looks at you, and he flicks something in your general direction.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm actually not even going to make you roll for it because your perception check, so like you're ready for it. You catch it, right? And as you look at it, it is a coin.
Ooh. I look at it, I flip it in the air, catch it, and look at the other side.
So I'm just trying to find something. It's big, right? So like as you look at this camera here, like it's this size.
So bigger than a challenge coin,
right? So about challenge coin would probably be a good size.
Okay.
On one side is kind of like an Ouroboros.
Okay.
But it's actually a sea serpent.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the other side is almost like it reminds you of when you were sitting at the deep courts in audience of the deep court, and there was that kind of Cthulhu faced dude.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yep.
That's what it reminds you of.
Okay.
Because I think you might find that interesting. At some point, you and I need to have a conversation.
I tuck it into a pocket on the breast of my armor, since I do not currently have my coat. And I say, duly noted.
So he sits down, and as the rest of you kind of get up and grab your food and everything, he says, there was a question about quick transports to the Nicodic Expanse. Unfortunately, as of right now, unless you know someone who knows of a teleportation circle and has that information and can cast that spell, the quickest way is through either my or your airship, because, and he looks at Sark and L, says your organization right now is in the process of making teleportation circles, but they're only about 5 months into that process. So they still need another 3 before it's done. So you're looking at 6 months worth of journey before you can get there. I don't know if it's necessary for you to get there. I will be in contact with my people who are out there. I will contact with your boss and have him reach out to and get your people involved. Because I can see that this is... Well, I saw what happened. There seems to be some drastic things of import going on. So we'll try, and if we need to get you out there, we'll figure something out. But we'll get things going. And then there were some questions, I believe, from you, young man. Looks at you again, Scald. About the cobble. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes, the Toyful Cabal. Is that them?
Yes. Go ahead and make a quick persuasion check. And this is kind of cover your talk from last session to this.
It's going to be a 19.
Nice. He kind of sits forward. Kind of places his hands on the table. Also, those of you here, buckle in. This is going to be a long one.
Ready.
Many, many years ago, in the Age of Arcana, there were 5 of us that dedicated ourselves to solving the problem of the weave. Do you guys know what the weave is? If anyone would like to, please roll an Arcana check. I know players know, but characters are a little bit different.
At 1!
Oh, fuck. Drink, motherfucker, drink.
Cheers!
Yep.
Yay!
Don't you actually do magic?
Yeah. Kind of sad.
Yeah, hers is mechanically induced, though.
Gotcha.
That's fair.
Yeah.
What else we got?
I'll add flavor to that. I've been wondering.
Hold on, I need other rolls here. What did everyone else roll?
18 for Patrice.
Okay.
3.
Okay. Shocker.
25.
Okay.
I love it when the dice work with the story.
Totally.
Sark is at the far end of the table working on his drawing.
Perfect.
Let me
So,
know what's going on.
Right.
so for Patrice, you understand the weave as what ties in the three kind of diffusing natures of magic here in the world. So there's the natural magic, the divine magic, and then the arcane, and it's all tied in together and pulled off through the weave. And then for you, Elle, in addition to everything that was just said, you also know that it also has to tie in with the connections to planier travel and existence and things like that. Like, it's big. It's a big thing. And you also know that the center of the weave is right here on Librarth. And then Sid, go with your flavor.
I was wondering if the weave is more of a curse than a blessing.
The weave is neither.
And it's what makes magic, and what makes planes there.
It's what people decide to do with the weave and their access to it. That is both a blessing and a curse. But just so you understand, that's what it is. It's what, as this young man said, is what brings it together. Back during the Age of Arcana, it was broken. Nothing would work the way it was supposed to. Well, those of us who had studied and who'd been around for a while found a way to repair the weave. And in doing so, we created what is now known as the 5 major schools of magic. Abjuration, invention, necromancy, I'm having to fucking remember my own lore, evocation, and divination. The rest are, as you would call, the minor schools. But as we tied it together, we founded our schools. And we began to have the discussions of where magic fit in society. It was here that my 4 colleagues, I guess you would call them, decided that the best use of our magic and our power was to overcome the free will of all sentient creatures and to impart on them the will of their quote-unquote betters. And unfortunately, this was after I had discovered the secret to lichdom. Yet at the same time, I knew that this was not a path for me. I left their side and came down this way. Unbeknownst to me, they slowly followed. Eventually, I made my way to the plateau here, where I attempted to set myself up in secrecy and in sanctuary. However, as the 4 other members of the Cabal established themselves on the Karaster Atoll, and their hatred and anger expanded, and then in addition to the Calcord Enclave taking its disturbing theological stance, more and more refugees began to come my way. And as we accepted them and we started to build a community here, it wasn't until about the 4th or 5th assassin attempted to take me out that I thought it was time that we moved on. And that's how we separated and created the plateau in its own dimension. And I would send out agents every few hundred years to get a taste of what the syndicate had become. And it's with my last agents that went out that found that the Cabal had come closer through a deal with some devils of the 9 hells found ways that they could possibly make this delusional story actually come to pass. And it was through those 5, eventually 4 agents of mine that they overcame the 4 liches of the Teufel Cabal about 20 years ago.
Does one of them carry a hammer and shoot lightning bolts?
That she does.
She seems pretty cool.
She was a late addition. One of, so I guess it was a total of 6. One of the 6 disappeared. I believe there was a deck of many things involved.
Oh, yeah, that's real gambling, is what that is.
Yeah, my understanding, he drew a card and all that was left was his clothing. And that'll happen. And then another one seemed to come across a cursed axe, and he was collecting shirts and anyone he killed and put him on his javelin, and he's out there somewhere feral.
We heard about
Yeah, we heard about him actually. We've been keeping an eye out. I don't use axes, but it sounds like a nifty toy to have on hand.
It is, and luckily it's one of those items. It's actually tied into an individual that we are seeking, Ovicium.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
yeah, your daughter was the one who talked to us about this, actually.
yeah, it was a thing. So yeah, they were actually there's still 2 of them are here on the plateau. A young woman named Kethri, who is a master druid and master distiller in our forests to the north of here.
We might need to swing by there.
Yeah.
And then there's a young ranger. Young. He is an elf. Or half elf. And yeah. He's around. He's still in my employ. For those of you who do listen, that would be characters for my other table.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, I was gonna ask, is this where the plateau was before you moved it?
It is not. It is not. What was that? That was a wild noise.
It's probably Curtis.
Probably. We were located closer to the lagoon, kind of in an area where what is now the tomb area of the Valkyrum with their flowers is situated. But the Valkyrum were founded after we departed, so
They're probably gonna not like us digging there then.
probably not. Yeah. Sark and L, you can roll history on the Valkyrum if you would like, as you were native to this region. Actually, so can you, Scald, because you were born there.
I am paying attention.
What am I rolling? History?
Yeah.
Nope. That's a 2.
13.
Okay.
10.
So for Sark and L, you know that the Valkyrum are a religious order of warrior women who are centered in the city of Folkwagner to the north of the lagoon. They pretty much, while technically speaking, the city of Folkwagner has its own government, the Valkyrum pretty much run everything. And they are not to be trifled with and are basically a borderless nation state. Has their own ambassadors and embassies and things like that. So
In my head, Sark's opinion of them is, can't punch them because nobody will let me, but they follow a god.
Do we know anything about their normal, like, burial, like,
do they bury their? Are the tombs buried or?
So think the burial mounds from the Rittermark in a very similar vein. With instead of white flowers, it's a very kind of deep bluish purple flower that coats their tombs. There's not a lot of them because it's not just everyone gets buried like that. It is the high-ranking martyrs and important sisters of the order that get buried like that.
So it's not. If it was more than like 5 or 10 feet below surface, they probably wouldn't have run into anything.
Probably not. So I hope that answers your question on the Cabal there, young Scald.
It does. It helps out a lot.
Fortunately, they are not a big issue as we speak, as not only were they destroyed, but their phylacteries as well.
But they're flying prison.
Yes, that is something that we seek. It's been something that we've sought for quite some time. I have no clue where it is, but I think that there are going to be either some people or some items there that could be of benefit. Because while that thing flies through a more arcane method, I think that there is possibly something of maybe an ancient ruin that has been added upon. So maybe that could be part of it as well. I have my people looking. I have also employed your organization. So when I find something, expect I don't want to say summons, because that sounds way too demanding. But
What a summons.
a message. Expect to hear from me. Or maybe Prosperin. I intend to keep Prosperin as your contact with us, if that's all right with the 6 of you.
Have to do it, and I'm sorry ahead of time. Expect an offer you can't refuse.
Sounds about right.
But I don't think we have any problem continuing to work with Lady Prosperin.
Excellent. What else is it that I can provide for you?
Lord Richter, have you ever come across magic users whose power comes from being infused with dragon blood before?
What in the world was that?
I think that's my dryer.
Dryer.
Oh, cool. I was like, damn.
I hadn't gone on so long. I was like, whose phone is that?
Right, yeah.
No, that's the NBA buzzer they
That is
installed in our dryer.
that is the NBA buzzer they installed in our dryer. That is accurate.
An infusion of dragon's blood?
So I will pull down my collar and show him.
Will you come here, my dear?
I'll go over to him.
And he looks at you for permission,
Yeah.
and he very gently kind of pulls away your shirt and your collar and kind of looks at it and gets very close. And I need you to roll a perception check for me real quick.
Try different dice. That's 18.
So as he gets real close to you, you kind of get, it's very well hidden underneath kind of this kind of vanilla and lilac scent that he seems to coat himself with. But you get this little gentle scent of the sickly sweet smell of decay and death that kind of just permeates him as now that you guys know exactly what he is. But he looks at you and he's looking hard, and he eventually backs away and says, "Thank you. While this technology is somewhat cruder than some of the things that we have here in the Syndicate, I have to say that this is quite an ingenious way of instilling some arcane powers within somebody. Where are you from, my dear?
I am from Krabik Doe in the Legation of Crypsis.
One of our newly established borders for us. That is interesting. What? How did this come about?
So, when I was in military school, a wizard sorcerer came in and asked if anyone had been born during a certain moon cycle, which I was. And he and my friend, who was also born during that moon cycle, took us and asked if we would be willing to be part of an experimental project of his where we would be infused with dragon's blood and in return receive magical powers.
That's interesting. This is definitely not something that I've seen before. So no, to answer your question, no. But I'm sure you and your friends have done a quite bit of looking at it, but this is quite interesting. Not something I've heard of before. It's interesting to know that this is something that's a possibility.
Patrice nudges Skald and like, the oldest guy in the world has never seen that.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird shit in the world, man.
Yes, there is a lot of weird shit in the world.
A lot of weird shit in the world.
Maybe it's because it's new shit.
Old shit, new shit, it can all be weird.
Oh, I agree, but maybe you're more adept with the knowledge that's older because you've recently returned, right? Is that what I'm understanding?
It's been about 20 years since we've returned here. But
Yeah.
even if I hadn't, that doesn't mean that I'm going to know everything. There's a whole wide world out there. Like, look at those rings that encircle our planet. What are they made of? How does that work?
I used to think they were made of sugar when I was a boy.
Well, maybe they are. You don't know.
I don't. I'd like to know. It'd be interesting.
It's fun to play the ignoramus when it comes to stuff like that we as humans actually know.
I have another question for you, unrelated to anything that we've been talking about.
That's okay. I expect weird changes from the six of you.
As well, you should.
What makes a scroll work?
Makes
A
this. You gotta say that again. Sorry, I didn't quite catch it.
What makes a magic scroll activate? Like the reading of it, or the?
That is a deep conversation that you and I need to have over a drink sometime. I don't think it's quite relevant for what we're doing, but just remind me at some point. Maybe when you're finished with your search for whatever you're doing, you're more than welcome to be my guest, and we can have a discussion about the arcane.
Okay. I just thought I'd ask what I was thinking about it.
God damn it. Justin, I don't fucking know. It just works, god damn it.
That was partly Ellen, partly me having an idea that I wanted to test, but
Fuck you, dude.
it was all. Both of them were very. Oh, I should ask about that.
You're just trying to get me back for the fucking emotional roller coaster of last week.
Right.
Ugh. Well, is there anything else that I can help you with?
I mean, probably, but nothing I can think to ask for.
Well, if you wouldn't mind, I'm gonna steal this one, and he's gonna point to Skull. and he's gonna come back. He says, "If you'll excuse us," and he kind of guides you, and he takes you back to the room where you waited for him in the first place, which is, for those of you who don't remember, it is very much set up in kind of like an Arabic sitting room, low tables, like the kind of like pillows and things like that. And he sits you down, sits down, and says, and he kind of, before he sits down, he kind of runs his finger across your armor, and he pulls some of that like salt crust off of it and goes, "That is a very unique trait there. What is your tie to the sea?"
Hold on 1 second here. I need to double check something. Yes. I say I want to see an even more interesting trick.
Always.
I kind of spin my finger around in the air and snap, and a wave of magic rolls up my body, cleaning any and all dirt and detritus from my entire person, cleaning my skin, cleaning my hair. Everything is pristine for about 12 seconds, at which point my armor rhymes over with salt and oxidization from the sea.
That is an interesting trick. So you are tied to the sea in some way.
Some salty tart dragged me from the depths after my crew betrayed me and tossed me in. Normally I'm not this open, I gotta be real honest, but I feel like if you want to know anything, you would. So why not just come straight out the gate with it?
Well, I appreciate your honesty. I try not to take things without the approval of those I'm talking to, unless there's some dire situation. But my main topic of conversation I wanted with you is a warning. Warning. The power of the sea is old. It's dark. And it scares me.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot that scares me in the abstract, I've got to be honest. You're terrifying because you're in front of me, you know? But you're not terrifying in the abstract, so there's nothing scary inherently about the ocean to me other than when I'm in front of a squall, you know? And then I have a way through it. I know how to survive a storm. I've weathered many storms in my time, both literal and figurative. In this case, I didn't have much choice. I was drowning, and she presented me with an option, and I decided to exercise that option. But I'm starting to feel like she's not coming through on her end as much as I'd like, so I might have to have a conversation with her later.
You might have to, but just understand. And that's why I give you that coin as a reminder.
Tell me about the coin.
That is an ancient...
Somebody I'm looking for.
That is an ancient coin that was common among seafarers. From what I understand, about 700 years ago. It was returned to me by one of my agents.
Can I roll history to recognize it now that he's given me context?
Sure.
That is a natural 1.
Yay!
More drinks.
So no, you don't know.
Nope, not even a little bit. And I'm actually kind of perplexed. I'm like, really? I've never heard of this before, and I gotta be honest, I've been on the water quite a bit.
But it's purely I thought of when I saw how you are. I just wanted to give you fair warning that the power of the deep is not one to be trifled with. And if I were you, I would find some way to extricate yourself from the situation that you were in.
You know, I'm not the one that's trifling, though. It seems like it's her who's trifling.
Those with that power tend to.
That's right.
I don't trust them either.
I appreciate the sage advice there. But for now, it's serving me just as much as I'm serving it, I think.
And that's fair. As long as you go in.
Plus, you want to teach me to do magic.
No, I think you handle that just fine.
I have no idea what I'm doing.
My magic is not the type that you have. I don't see you as the time is sitting in a classroom or to read a book.
Absolutely not. No,
Then I can't help you for shit in that.
Yeah, I fully, wholeheartedly retract my request with thanks for your honesty and recognizing that I would probably jump off the roof of your very fancy building.
You would be gouging your second eye out, I know.
Yes, I would.
But also in that same vein, I would tell you to just don't use nuance. Crash through everything with your head.
Yeah. That's how I've lived most of my life, yeah.
So I just wanted to give you I didn't want to entangle or frighten your compatriots, and I feel that you had the ability to handle the honesty and realness. So
I feel like that's valid. Some of them are a little bit skittish sometimes, I'm not gonna lie.
It happens. Sometimes our own sense of fear and self-preservation stops working, and you need a skittish friend or two.
That's also true.
Why is everybody looking at me?
Good thing you're not there.
I was just thinking of Sir just falling off a boat.
Right, yeah.
Whoops.
Just know that not only you, but the rest of your compatriots are always welcome here, and we will give you any assistance that we can.
I very much appreciate that.
And with that, he kind of leads you out the exit, and that's where we're going to take our next break, and we will be back figuring out what the fuck we're doing in just a few moments. Welcome back, everybody, to Campaigns and Concoctions, where I think the best quote of the break was, now the internal question, the ass or the crotch.
That's right.
Also, that's going to be the question. What movie is that from? Hit us up if you're on Spotify, you'll be able to see the question, answer that question, and we will name a drink after you.
Damn right.
When he said Spotify, I think he meant Discord, right?
No, Spotify.
Nope, Spotify. Those questions are attached to the episodes in Spotify, so go ahead and check it out. We have questions on almost every. I forgot on the last episode, mostly because I had to pretty much listen to the entire episode as I was editing it to get the sounds and the music just right. Which, Nate, tell me, what'd you think?
It was pretty badass. I loved the electricity sound effects you added at one point.
Yep, it was pretty awesome. So
Right.
yeah, so that's why I didn't have a question. Actually, there may have been a question. So, but yeah, so if you can answer what movie that is from, you will get a cocktail named whatever you feel like it, as long as it is appropriate. And by appropriate, we mean non-racist, non-homophobic, non-transphobic, all of those things. So,
Don't be a problem.
yeah, or I will become the whole problem. So, drinks.
I made a beverage for Dustin, which usually means it involves a hefty amount of things that have plum in them.
Yes.
This is no different. So I put 3 ounces of Slivovitz because 2
Fuck
ounces
yeah.
wasn't enough after tasting it. It has
That's fucking delicious.
a half ounce
really
of
good.
the plum wine, a half ounce of the meadow sweet syrup that I made,
Mhm.
and it has a 3/4 of an ounce of the yuzu juice.
Yep.
And I added a dash of Peychaud's, and I decided, like, I wanted it to be tart, but I didn't want to add the aeration. I wanted it to be a little cleaner without the froth, so I just stirred that.
Oh, that's
on purpose. Yeah, that's why it's different, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I stirred it instead of shaking.
I think you need the aeration. I think the aeration would do it some good.
Yeah, probably. Meh. And so the name of this beverage is.
Yeah. I think you should make another one to test it.
Yeah. What did we say?
TFD.
TFD. That's fucking delicious.
That has been my response and John's response immediately after drinking it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I made 2 cocktails. I don't know if I've featured this one before, but I call it Second Breakfast. It is quite delightful. It's 2 ounces of overproof rum. 2 ounces overproof rum, half ounce of Nonino Amaro, half ounce of creme de cacao, 2 dashes tiki, 2 dashes mole bitters. Stir that, serve it on a large cube with a cherry on a pick. It is absolutely delicious.
Smells great too.
Yeah, it smells good. It tastes good. I called it Second Breakfast because it's sort of named after a friend of mine whose name is Sam, who forages vegetables and mushrooms in the woods and is a chef. And it just felt right to name a drink after him, especially since I made this drink for him.
Is this a waste of a good apple?
Yeah. Second Breakfast.
You made this before?
I have made it before. Okay, I wasn't
so
sure.
Good. Yeah, you made this on the podcast before. It's lovely.
It is a really good
It's
drink.
started the questions.
That's right. It was. You're right. The second one that I made, I named. The name is inspired by Nate over here. The name is the Sorbet Fondue, which literally translates melted ice cream, or melted sorbet. So sherbet in English.
Sherbet.
Yeah, sherbet is how we pronounce
That's the
it.
proper Midwest pronunciation.
It is. That's how I grew up pronouncing it in California too. To be fair, sherbet. But sherbet translates into French as sorbet. Just so you know, which means that sherbet is just a bastardization of the French word sorbet, right? Like, let's be real. But Nate said this tasted like melted sherbet, so I called it the Sorbet Fondue. It is 1 3/4 ounces Batavia Iraq because I am going to get people drinking Batavia Iraq.
So good.
I'm going to make it a thing. 3/4 of an ounce of yuzu, half an ounce of the Meadow Sweet simple syrup, half an ounce of Aperol, half an ounce of framboise, half an ounce of grenadine, 2 dashes of Peychaud's. Shake it, dirty dump, lemon twist. Fucking delightful. It is way too many touches, but it is a delicious cocktail.
It tastes like berry sorbet. I don't know which berry, but
Yeah,
it tastes like
it
berry
tastes like
sorbet.
some kind of berry sorbet.
It tastes like mixed berry.
No, that is distinctly different.
You're right.
This
Mixed berry is a specific
stirred
thing.
berry.
Yeah, stirred berry.
I would say
Shaken berry.
it is not blueberry, but it is a berry.
Frankenberry.
Not Frankenberry, shaken
No,
berry.
Shakenberry.
Yeah.
I agree.
Berry not stirred.
Yes, shaken berry, not stirred. That's the other
That's a
name
good
for
name.
it. That is a really good name.
James Berry Bond.
Oh! And I made one other beverage. I'm going to go through it quick. So this is the good, the bad, the ugly. It's not my beverage. It's 2 ounces of gin, 3/4 an ounce of lemon, half an ounce of orgeat, 1 whole kiwi, 6 mint leaves, and it called for an egg white. I didn't want to shake that hard. So
Super
I
valid.
just muddled that stuff, and after what we discerned earlier with the kiwi, I made this about 30 minutes ago, or I muddled it 30 minutes ago, and I put it in the freezer and let it kind of chill down.
Nice.
So that it didn't add as much water content to it. And then it asked for topping with soda and a mint sprig and a lemon twist. I did all those things, we tasted it, and we're like, not right.
great.
Not great.
Yeah.
So we added a half ounce of the orgeat, made it so much better. It's
I literally
quite
just
good.
stirred it back up.
I just
And
stirred it
some
back
mint,
up in the glass.
some fresh mint on the top.
Yeah.
Weirdly, it has a nutty taste to it.
That's the orgeat.
Yeah. It's I made it today.
Orgeat is
it's toasted almond
syrup.
syrup. It's
Yeah.
got a little bit of mine is different than Jared's, and I honestly I think I prefer Jared's. Mine has 2 ounces or 2.5 teaspoons of cognac and 2.5 teaspoons of amaretto and a little bit of orange flower water.
Okay, the amaretto is.
Yeah, it should always have some kind of brandy. Always have orange flower water, and always have almond. Whether that's an almond reduction or an almond milk reduction. Yeah.
I also used brown sugar in mine.
Interesting.
Because I was like,
Okay.
you know
So
what?
I really like it with Demerara syrup. Or
I
Demerara
was
sugar,
going
rather.
to,
Yeah.
and I used it all this
Oh,
week.
fuck.
I, like literally that
That'll
syrup
happen.
right there.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
made all that syrup, and then
That's
like I went to
amazing.
go make my orgeat, and I was like, shit, I used all
Son
the
of a
Demerara
bitch.
syrup because my
I
kids
gotta-
wanted pancakes and we were out of maple syrup.
I've got an idea for an orgeat that I'm probably going to make either next weekend or the weekend after. I've been doing all this Asian-inspired stuff partly because of where I work, which has a very heavily Asian-influenced cuisine. We do a sesame orgeat there. I like it, but I feel like it doesn't go far enough. I feel like it's too simple. Because it's also not a true orgeat because it doesn't have any almond in it, which drives me nuts. So I'm going to make a black. Yep, it sure does drive me nuts. I'm going to make a black sesame orgeat with black sesame oil and almond milk and
Well, it's got
orange
almonds in
flower
it.
water. What's that?
You said it wouldn't have any almonds in it.
No, the one at work does.
Oh, okay.
The one that I want to make
He's
will.
fixing.
Yes,
things
I'm fixing the one that
we.
we have at
Because they broke
yeah.
it.
Yeah, they broke it.
So
Well,
as we have talked about almonds so much, shout out to everyone's favorite almond eating DM, Brendan Lee Mulligan,
Yes.
and his very recent video of a Dom DM. If you haven't
Yes.
watched it, go watch it. It breaks Erika Ishii, and I think it broke half of us at this table.
Honestly, watch the entire episode. It's on dropout.tv. It is Make Some Noise. The entire episode is fucking amazing. There's another bit in there.
Bradley Mulligan's-
Sauron.
Yes.
The Donald Trump Sauron. Yeah.
Oh my
Is
god.
one of the funniest things that's ever been recorded
He
on.
is a freaky dude.
Okay, I call him Little Tomato.
So I had to shout out because that
Just say the real king. All right.
if you are a Critical Role fan, there was the DM's roundtable with Abrea, Matt, and Brennan, and the last question was DM Snacks, and Brennan, as always, his response was perfect.
Yeah.
So
I love his
Also,
response to that.
Brennan was the DM on Critical Role for the
Alexandria Unlimited.
Exandria Unlimited. No, it was the
Cataclysm.
Cataclysm. Yes, it was the Cataclysm.
but that's why that table came about. That roundtable was
Best known for
Dimension
the
20.
best known of Critical Role fame. Brendan Lee Mulligan is best known for his question: "Are you weaker at the shoulder or the elbow?"
That was awesome.
Okay, so as that tangent is now taken care of, which was my fault, so I can't blame nobody but me.
We were all there. We were all in it.
So the five of you who were not taken have exited the living space, the more private areas of the castle, and you watch as the Lord Richter and Skjald walk out, and I think in this particular moment, as you know, the Lord Richter is kind of escorted out, gently kind of guiding him in almost a fatherly way in the way that he exits out. It's like, and with the conversation and being a little bit open, probably a little bit, it's a little bit of a different Skjald than what you guys have probably seen, in the past. But he exits. You guys are coming together. What do you guys want to do?
How are we getting back to Tankermere?
That is an easy fix. I can get you there.
Cool.
Is that something that you need? And we can do it now. You all are more than welcome to stay the evening. I can have living quarters arranged for the evening. It's up to you.
I mean, I'd like a week to look at the shit we found down there, but I don't think we have that much time right now.
Well, part of the reason why I left you alone is I went to go and I preserved that space. There's some magic that we have. It's going to be just like when you found it. It's as you left it. Everything will be preserved. No one will, other than the orders that Prosper has made to excavate around it, everything else will be left exactly as you have, and no one will touch it, and not even the ravages of time will affect it.
Sark will hand over his drawing and be like, you should make copies to send to the manager, and hand him a rolled up picture of what he remembered the cities being.
Okay.
Be like, these are the cities that existed at one point that room is from.
Well, if you would be a little patient, maybe if you were to delay your return to Tinkermere till the morning, I can make enough copies that you can have one, I can have one, and the manager can have one. Would that be amenable to you and your party?
Got a training dummy I can beat the shit out of, and then I'm good to stay.
I have plenty.
Works for me.
Is there anything else that I'm pretty sure I know the answer, but I want to double check. Is there anything that anyone else would like to do? And we won't role play it if we don't have to. We can
pick up my coat and my.
Yeah, when we get back to Tinkermere.
That's in Tinkermere. I'm talking about like here in Bergheim, real quick. If you guys can stay the evening.
Yeah, otherwise not.
I have one thing that I'm gonna talk to Sark once we're going to rooms.
Okay. So the Lord Richter actually gets you an apartment that is in the center of town, and it's a really lovely like penthouse with 4 rooms that the 6 of you can share, and it looks out into into that center square where you walked out of the Dark Hall archives. There is some wonderful restaurants and everything, but you're able to just kind of enjoy it. It's a very lovely space, lively and all of that stuff. So Sark, you guys do your thing.
So once we're all in the room and nobody else is there to listen, you look over, Sark, you doing all right, bud?
Memories violently came back. They're not happy memories.
I'm guessing about the spot we were in?
I saw the room we unlocked previously. The one I draped seemed to have an adverse reaction to being... and he just gestures at himself. I have more questions than I did. But I have faces to those that probably did it. Still don't know how I ended up in the fucking coffee table.
You want to go back to the in-between? We can find a minor god for you to punch.
It sounds better than trying to punch the Valkyrum.
I feel like they're both bad ideas, but...
Let me go destroy a dummy and then we'll talk.
I'm down for a bad idea.
Skald has a list of people we need to find anyway, so they might work just as well.
Skeld isn't even in the room, but from down the hall you just hear, "I'm always up for a bad idea!" Skeld doesn't know why he's shouting that down the hall. He just felt compelled.
So is
Yes.
accurate.
Alright, well.
Yeah, go enjoy smokes, drinks, food with them. I'm probably going to come back covered in sawdust.
Just send us a message if you need bail.
Richter gave me permission. It better not involve bail.
You never know.
It means you might be setting some bones on guards who decided that I was doing the wrong thing. Anyways.
We got healing.
All right. So, as everyone minus Sark kind of gathers, as you exit into the square, you know, you kind of converse with the local populace and everything, and there's one kind of, the general consensus is that you really need to try the restaurant that is pretty much next door to the building that you're in. It's a wonderful restaurant. It's very...
No way to get...
Say again?
I said there's no way for me to get lost.
Yep. So it's very simple fare, but it's very much excellently done, right? It's just slabs of meat and potatoes and simple vegetables that are given to you, but it's one of those things that, like, you can tell that the staff here this is all they have done for their entire life, and it is just one of the greatest things that you guys have had as a group together. The beer and wine and spirits here all have a very unique taste that is nothing that any of you have had, especially those of you who are imbibing the gin and vodka variants that they have here. They are very, very unique. They still are that, but they're very, very different. You come to find out that this is it's distilled here on the plateau, and that there's a very lively culture about it. But, you know, the night goes on. A lot of people come up, ask you some questions. Everyone's very friendly. A couple of drinks have been bought for all of you, but eventually the restaurant closes. You all go back. Sark isn't back yet. You all just kind of sit around, chat, cigars, pipes, and eventually a little bit later, Sark returns, looking a little bit haggard, but feeling a little bit better. You go down for the evening. You awake the next morning to find that in the kind of the general, like the living room space, there are 3 scrolls that have been gently wrapped and tied with a ribbon, and there's a note directed to Sark that says, "You now have 2 copies, one for yourself and one for the manager. I hope that this will help you on your investigations going forward." And it says that when you are ready, come see the Lord Richter, and he will get you back to Tinkermere. So anything, I'm assuming no, but anything you guys want to do real quick before you guys go see Richter?
Sure.
Is good?
Not outside the normal breakfast, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I need a special meeting.
So, yeah. What was that?
Richter, the manager. Who is it?
Richter.
You're going to Richter.
Go to.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay.
Richter, I think, is our teleportation home at the moment.
Gotcha.
Yes.
So you return to the castle, and you were directed pretty quickly to the Lord Richter, where he asks, "Hey, is there anything else?" I'm assuming no. He gets you all ready, and very quickly he looks, "Hold on." He snaps, and you all appear back in the in that conference room where you left. No teleportation circle, none of that stuff, right? And he just, you're there. And
That was too easy for him, Al.
There's a reason why we're terrified of him.
He's basically one of the gods of magic. Yeah, no shit.
I nod my head in agreement.
And as the 6 of you kind of gather to head back to go meet with the manager to go discuss some things with him, that's where we're going to wrap up. But before we leave, heads up, level up.
Don't tell Matt.
It doesn't matter. He's not going to level up anyway till we get to next week.
Yeah, even if we told him, we would be
Accurate.
like, "Oh shit."
Yeah, accurate.
He's like that in every game I've been with him in. So
Do that with all of my chest.
I think I gotta do second level fighter. I need a PHP.
all right. So the only thing that we need to do tonight before you guys can level up is we need to roll hit points.
We gotta roll hit points.
All right.
Yeah, I gotta look. I think I'm doing another level fighter, which will tell me which one I'm rolling.
I'm doing sorcerer. I'm not even.
Patrice got 5 out of 6.
Did I multi-class?
Yes.
I did, right?
3 of us
Too.
multi-classed into fighter.
That's right. That's right.
I have no reason to do fighter this time, so.
Actually,
Hey, not bad.
Hey.
Hey, samesies. Yes.
Yay!
Did I go with fighter?
I thought you did.
Pretty sure all
Yeah,
three of
I
us
think
did,
all
yeah.
3 of you guys went 1 level of fighter.
Unless Matt.
Matt also went a level of fighter.
No, Matt's Warlock Bard. He didn't,
Yeah,
he didn't triple.
It's us three. You
He
went.
didn't
You went
triple.
I
fighter.
did, right? I
thinking
went
about it
fighter,
now?
right?
Yeah.
Almost
'Cause I
positive
didn't-
you went fighter.
So my level 9 should be.
We already did level 9.
Yeah, but my level 9 should be
fighter,
fighter.
correct.
Yeah. Okay.
What do I get? I get 5 plus
Mm.
my con
Okay.
score plus 1. Right?
I keep assuming that we're like level 7. Like I forgot we've done this many levels.
Right.
Oh,
What are we now? We are level
10.
Christ.
Halfway there, man. Oh,
We're not getting to 20, man. Let me tell you what, that's a fucking grind. I'm at 1 level away at my other table, and let me tell you what, oh my god, that has been so hard to get to level 20.
Yeah.
Oh,
I pass synaptic
on a
static.
10. So you got 5 on a 10.
5 on a 10?
Just under half.
Just under half. Well, you're 0.5
Oh,
below
you know
the
what? I
average.
remember why it is that I did it the way that I did. It's because Squire sucks at
Multi-class.
multi-classing. Yes.
Cool. Whoever wants to share, if you wouldn't, I know Curtis has already shared, but go ahead and share your roles.
5. So you got a 5
Of 6.
of 6.
So you picked up another
What's the
sorcerer?
fighter's
I didn't do
D10?
anything.
Okay.
Sark, taking level 2 in fighter, rolled a 5 of D10 for 7. I'm only sad because I'm moving away from 69.
Fuck yes.
10.
I got a 10.
Nice.
10 out of
Yeah.
10.
I got 8 out of 8.
Yeah!
Awesome.
Hard to hit. Because that means I don't have to have a lot of hit points.
It's true.
Awesome. Well, everyone, again, as always, thank you so much for joining us on this adventure of cooperative storytelling. This has been, it's a sloggy episode, but every once in a while you have to have a sloggy one. As always, if you want to join in the conversation, click in the links below. The trend continues. Everyone look at my pointing. I'm pointing down. You click there. You can sign up get on the Instagram, sign up for the Discord. We've been talking lots of really good painting, lots of really good cocktail discussions. Go ahead and join us. It's really fun. It's a really good place to be. But thanks to everyone, as always, for the interesting things that we've got going on. And until next time, drink well.
Well,
Wow.